Go Paul, Darren.
Yeah. Hi, how you going, Darren?
And Paul from CPR Business Advisory. Today on our podcast, what we're going to talk about is 5 fatal traps that successful businesses didn't miss. Now, we've got a bit more than 5 in here, but we're going to try and get through them. And what we'll do at the end, you can go to cprba.com.au and get more information through a PDF.
Yeah. And even with some of the topics that we're going to touch on today, you need to really deep dive into those to get a better understanding. Yeah. And what we're going to do is have other guest speakers that are going to come in and actually do deep dives, because we are firm believers that, one person can't do everything. So you outsource and bring in specialty knowledge to be able to get the best results.
Definitely. So look, this is going to be a short, sharp podcast. And what the first one is, the first fatal trap that we find that a lot of businesses fall into is know your cost. It could be as simple as just calling up the supplier and calling around.
Well, it is. And I mean, the other element of it as well is like go out, re-tender for all your suppliers. Like just because you've got one lot of suppliers and you lock them in, it's not a set and forget scenario by any means. And then also remember, if your prices have to go up from your suppliers because of COVID, we all know that we've got constraints on, all the products coming back into the country. You've got to be able to know that you're going to pass that on to your customer. Like so many businesses just don't change their prices, even though they're being charged more.
Yeah. Oh, look, it was just recently a business that I was working with came up and they hadn't factored in the freight from they were importing, and they hadn't factored in their costing the new increase in freight costs. Now, in some cases, that was, for a container, it was $2,500. Now, if you bring in 3 containers a week, you're going back by $7,500 a week.
Yeah.
And all you had to do was change your pricing and make sure that your costs are right. And how can you quote going forward as well? Like if a customer comes to you, you're behind and you're leaving money on the table just to start with.
Oh, definitely. And the other factors, like one is your price and suppliers, but then have a look at your labour costs as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's another simple one. Like, you have a wage increase or, CPI increase, and then all of a sudden you haven't actually rechanged your prices to reflect what your true cost is for production. And all of a sudden you're just bleeding that money out the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, look, it was another client. They were going back by $72,500 a year in a manufacturing plant because they just didn't capture the true cost and allocate that cost from a CPI increase, and didn't pass it on to their customers.
Yeah, I mean that's $72,000. That is just the jam. Like that's cash. That's going into your pocket. I mean, it might as well go down to the corner and
just waste it.
Or put it in the pokies.
I don't know the pokies. Yeah, I know what you mean. But there's a lot of areas that in businesses, if you just not, and it doesn't need to be, we're doing a big price review. It's pick 3 items, your 3 top sellers and what goes into those. And then another example is, a business, we looked at their bill of materials and we just went through and said, right, which is the largest volume? Just go and get prices on these 3. Now, when they did that, and then they said, right, let's go direct to different suppliers, they were saving $100,000 a year by just doing a very simple tick and flick. And it doesn't need to be on every item. It just needs to be on pick 3 and then pick the 3 biggest.
The secret is try not to do like a shotgun approach. Focus in on what you want to look at first. Know that component and then slowly work your way out. Now, if you're hemorrhaging cash now, then you probably need to do it very quickly. But we all don't have much time in business, so pick your target. And I think the big takeaway, you can dive into this and talk about it all day, and we can go into a lot more detail. But make sure your prices are current.
Yeah,
basically, and maintain them. Don't think of them like the old phone books that you just sit on there and they're outdated, and then people are using them.
Yeah,
that's the problem. You have 3 prices operating in one business, and what is the true cost?
How do you manage it?
So, make sure they're current, keep them up to date, and to get rid of all the old prices. Make sure they're gone.
It's not that hard to just get them, shred them, and put version controls because people run different. Oh, I thought it was this one. Oh, I was using that one for this. No, it's a new price list that's issued. And look, with technology as well, there's pricing being put into the systems and everything else.
Oh, especially with remote workforces these days. I mean, having 3 or 4 different prices floating around in remote scenarios is quite easily done and hard to manage unless you keep controls on that stuff.
Yeah, so it's unbelievable.
All right, well,
so that's one fatal factor that successful businesses that we see didn't miss.
Yeah,
they know where their costs are. They do a constant review, and they have a process for that review.
Yeah. That sort of leads us into the next one, which we're not going to do a deep dive in this scenario, which is basically HR, human resources, people.
Unbelievable. It's, like you say, we've got a guest coming in.
Yes. Who specialises within that recruitment sort of HR, human resources. Like, once again, that's not our specialty, but it's a major factor in any business. If you got the wrong people, you're going to lose money every day of the week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do they say? I mean, you're working in a few businesses at the moment, having to do restructure, but it's like, don't pick the best of the bad bunch just because you've got to place it.
Just because it'll cost you more in the long term. You might have to do a bit of outsourcing or something else, but put the right people. Everyone talks about it. Right people on the right bus, on the right seat, going the right way. And in the short term, it might be painful, but in the long term, the benefit is amazing.
It is, especially like if you're a manager of a team or your business. It's your business that you're running. If you're trying to do everything, I mean, you're the number one marketer of your business.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're stuck in the back office doing your invoicing when you should be at the front end, improving your forward order book, well, what are you doing? I mean, you've got to hire the right people to outsource that. I mean, yes, when you first start, you've got to have multiple hats, but I mean, as you sort of develop and mature in the business, you need to know when is the right time. And most businesses leave it too late, and then it's costing them money, and then all of a sudden they're chasing their ass. It's like it's one of those difficult balancing acts.
Yeah, and we'll go into a deep dive of that because there's a lot in the HR. It's there's a lot of laws that you've got to, and one of the worst things that I've seen is the frustration that businesses have and business owners have. You don't want to get into a bullying situation or a workers' comp situation because you're so frustrated that it's because you've made a poor choice.
Well, the most problems they're managing it when it's already too late. You should nip it in the bud, jump on the good or bad, promote it, but really focus on it when it's happening. Good stuff you want to promote, put that through your business, but you don't want to get rid of that systemic problem. You've got bad issues as well, right there. Don't worry wait until the end when you're actually going to have a problem or there's going to be some sort of playing against you because you basically just had to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think just one point there, these problems, these HR problems seem to be one of the biggest sources of noise, I would call it, in a business where people, they're not happy and they create noise, they create distraction, and then that goes through the rest of the team and inefficiency.
Simplistically, I mean, we've sort of done a little high-level sort of example. Like you mentioned, you've lost labour, so you lose say an hour of time a day for all your people in your team because you've got unproductive. You can just say they're worth $30 an hour. So then there's 5 days a week. So there's $150 and you do it for a year. So then it's like you can be like 30, 40 grand quite easily just in unproductive time because you've got the wrong people or the noise that's been created. Because it's not a very cohesive work environment. Yeah. Anyway, we won't focus too much more on that one. It's not the one that we want to focus on now. This will sort of lead us into our number 3, I guess, fatal flaws, which is the improve your processes. Yeah. Technology is the key. Technology is your friend. So, not your enemy.
Look, there's just, and looking at finance, we'll just talk finance for a moment, but taking your data and taking it out, as soon as you take it outside of the system and you're putting it into Excel and there's multiple Excels and you've got these formulas and you spend more time kind of putting it together, massaging it rather than using technology. And there's a lot of products around that can consolidate and produce financials in a quick and effective manner rather than taking it out into a different environment. And then if it's in the same environment or not in Excel, everyone else has got access to it. It becomes real time, and that becomes a more efficient reporting structure. But that's only in one part. That's only in one.
Oh, it is, and flowing off of that, like your processes. Like if you have poor processes, that means you've got poor visibility on what your business is actually doing. If you've got poor data, there's potential that you're not identifying problems when you should. So there's a twofold effect. But I mean, you can use technology to basically automate and control, consolidate. I mean, there's so many positives in actually bringing in, say, a new system to get rid of, say, 3 antiquated systems and consolidate. Like I've had so many businesses that have, ran a separate stock system, and then you had a purchase order system, and then you got an inventory system, and the 3 systems don't talk, and then all of a sudden they do a stock take and they're lost. And I mean, it's quite easy to run into hundreds of thousands of dollars just being wasted because of poor systems or fraud. Like here's a big one: like if you've got poor systems, unfortunate, the nature of fraud is if there's a way and your systems are poor and data is hard to track, fraud's going to jump in there. People take advantage of it.
Yeah, 100%. But it's just even on that, fraud is one way to lose money. But there's also, I suppose, it's self fraud in a way because using technology and I'll give you an example of one of the businesses I won't mention their name. Using technology in this construction business was more about being able to come onto site, take a photo, do a quote, and everything, attach it, send it to the client right there and then. They can accept it. You know what you're doing. You've got all the documents. They've got all the notes. You don't have to go home and write it out in a quote book with the old pen and ruler and everything else. You can do your measurements. You can do all that right there like you normally would. Live quote, go out, and even here's an example where, and this is I've had a couple where people have come to even my house and they've done some repair work and they've sent 2 tradies out. Yeah, come out, no worries. We'll fix this, we'll do this. They're here for 2 hours. They get in the car, go away, never got a bill. Never got a bill. Now that's self-fraud. In my view, you can't get money in if you can't put an invoice out. Yeah. So. And it's, we ended up paying the bill, but because we reminded them. But it's one of those things.
How many people don't remind you?
How many people don't remind you? And it was like, they had 2 guys here and the guys did the work and they had their gear and used materials and all that's gone for the business. So if there's a way to automate it and capture it and use technology, you're not going home and getting the missus to do it at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night,
Well, you could spend more time with the family.
Yeah.
You're not out in the back office quoting or invoicing at the end of the week because you've done it at the client's premises as you're going. And I mean, it works for tradies, but this also works into like manufacturing businesses that we work in. I mean, it's very much across all industries. I mean, you won't get any money in if you don't get the invoices out, and therefore, what are you working for?
Well, again, back to HR. Are you working to employ people and keep everyone else happy? Yeah, that should be a byproduct of your successful business.
True. So we can deep dive. I mean, we can talk about that all day because we work with clients a lot. But I guess the next one, so number 4 on the list, is know your market and the potential.
Yeah, definitely. And that's putting can you grow your market? Can you put new products into your existing market, or are you going to go and diversify? Are you going to is there any vertical integration that you can do? Businesses that a fatal trap that businesses lock themselves into one market, like also locking themselves into a supplier or supply chain, and they can't get out, and then something happens like the floods and COVID, and you can't.
There's no imports.
There's
all of a sudden
no
you've got
imports.
no products.
You've got no products. You've got liquidated damages, everything else. But you've got to be able. The successful businesses move move and see market opportunities that are in either new products into their existing markets or new products into new markets.
Yeah, it's also knowing your business. So if you've got a business and you're operating and you're quite successful, you think, oh, I want to expand, I want to increase my revenues, I'm going to go and do something totally different to what I'm doing now. Is that really what you're going to do if you don't have the specialty to do it? I mean, know your market. I mean, if you're going to go off and do something different, the flaws or the fatal traps in that alone is
it takes so much time away from your core business, which can have a detrimental impact.
And another one is we've actually worked with manufacturers that manufacture, say, 100 widgets, when the majority of the widgets they sell are within the 20 or 30 product range, and the high margin, so basically lower margin but high volumes, and then the back end production is really expensive, but they're only selling half the number. And you really need to understand when you should actually cut back your product range and actually focus in what's going to actually make you more money. So even if it's lower margin, if you're turning over and you've actually reallocated those resources to produce 3 times as many of those products, well, you're going to make money and not lose money by producing those expensive items. That no one wants to buy.
And ties up your capital.
Or unfortunately, you're competing with another supplier in that market who actually can produce them cheaper than you can. And you'll never actually be a competitive player in that market.
Yeah. So again, focus on, look, and that I suppose goes back to knowing the costs and everything else, is know your product mix and your sales mix and where your gross margin comes from, and delving into those and going, I'm selling a lot of nothing.
Comes back to number one. Know your costs.
Simple.
So now that will lead into the last point that we're going to talk about today, which we think is quite critical, and we can deep dive into this at a later date, which is your capital. Cash. Cash is king, my friends. Cash is king.
So look, understanding where your cash is held is important. Understanding that you haven't invoiced someone is important, but understanding the collections and a business that we're working with closely at the moment, they've got a number of vehicles, right? And they don't even, there's no maintenance registers or anything else on those vehicles. And
don't know how much it's costing them.
Don't know how much it's costing them. And what is having those vehicles part of the locking up their capital and their cash, and do they need it? And they've got, why do we have it? I don't know why. Bill had that one and Steve had that one, and they haven't used it for a while. Well, they like 6 months ago. So it's just, that's a very basic one of, okay, let's realise that asset and gain some cash.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean,
but knowing that it's there.
Yeah, like for me also, like the big one is tied around invoicing. So basically, get your invoices out, and collections. So how long does it take you to get your money in for your invoices? And then the flip side of that, which is knowing the costs, which is number one point that we've raised, is your supplier agreement. So when do you actually have to pay your supplier for the materials that you're going to use in those jobs? So if you've got extended, like say 60-day terms on the supplier agreement, so when you actually pay your suppliers, but you're bringing your cash in from your customers on 7 or 14 days, that is a positive cash flow impact on how you manage your cash. And so many businesses, unfortunately, have it the opposite way around. Like they pay the suppliers on 7 days, and then all their clients are paying them 30, 40 days. And if they have an invoice, I mean, they're wondering where all the cash is at the end of the day.
How many times do you
highly profitable, and then I've got no money.
No money. How do you get? It happens so much. It comes to the end of the year, and they say, "I've got a great profit. Where's the cash? There's something wrong." Well, actually, you're overstocked. You're overstocked in these items. So
aged inventory.
Inventory. So why haven't you turned that inventory? When do you realise how much stock transit do you want to hold? Managing that, because that's all part of, we've got this great profitable business, but you're just missing where the cash is, because at the end of the day, you're generating profit to generate cash to generate your wealth.
And the big flaw though is people wait to the end of the year when they do their tax. Like most small businesses when they're growing, they wait to the end of the year and they wait for their accountant to do their tax and then tell them what they've actually achieved.
Yeah.
It's too late. Like
It's too late.
it's too late. You've often got a big tax bill and you're thinking, well, I've got no money to take the kids on holidays because where's all the cash? But the business has made a great profit.
Great profit. Yeah, no cash.
You need to manage these things like on a monthly basis. Like if you've got the systems and processes put in place, it should be simple. It should be a press of a button. If you've got the right people and employees to help you do it, it's one of those quick, easy solutions that will get you there.
And a lot of these are just simple monitoring, and the impact is massive, and it happens quickly.
Oh yeah, we've worked with stressed businesses, and it's all cash related. I mean, you can look very strong on a balance sheet, and we'll use the technical. Balance sheet's not technical, but not a great. A lot of businesses actually use them, but if you don't have any cash,
that's right.
You're not going to do anything.
And I think that the other part of that is understanding your capital and your debt facilities, like I said, their cars and loans and leases, and I'm paying out a lease of $1,500 for 3 cars, every month that no one's driving. Well, there goes $5,000 out of your cash flow. Well, okay, we'll give that to your missus to go shopping with. But it's also knowing what the facilities are that you've got, but understanding that cash, that $5,000 cash that you've been paying out for an asset that you're not really utilising, but that $5,000 go into your marketing.
Exactly. Make your cash work for you.
Make money. Yeah, know where the line. What is this dollar that I'm going to spend? What is it going to return?
What's the return on that? Exactly. So anyway, that's our snippet into our first podcast.
Yeah.
Now, do go to cprba.com.au. We do have a PDF summary of the 5 favorite flaws that we see businesses do all the time. And you'll see over the next 12 weeks as well that we're going to have guest speakers and try and do deep dives into these areas, because there's a few here that I think need a little bit more time than we've spent today.
Yeah. Look, take care.
Feedback's welcome.
Feedback's welcome. Take care and keep charging ahead in your business.
Have fun.
Have fun. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.